Dedicated to your dream, even if it's just one. Do it for your fans, even if it's just one. Dedicated to your dream, even if it's just one. Do it for your fans, even if it's just one.
Peace and love. Thank you for tuning in to my channel. I'm your host, Etheric Priest, and this is my channel, Cosmic Phase Shifting. Today, I am here to talk to y'all about plastic, okay? Plastic overload. Trying to get people to ditch the plastic water bottles and start making your own water at home. I'm sure you can see this figure here, this illustration here on the screen. Plastic and health, the hidden cost of plastic. All right. I know you've probably seen a lot of articles out there recently on plastic. We got, scientists found about 250,000 invisible nanoplastic particles in a liter of bottled water. We got bottled water contains thousands of nanoplastics, so small they can invade the body's cells. We got new study shows some may be breathing in the equivalent of a credit card worth of plastic weekly. We got here, chemists warn bottled water 100 times worse for plastic than previously thought. Plastic is everywhere, from the Arctic ice to human placenta. In fact, previous estimates suggest that the average person ingests a credit card worth of microplastic particles every week. All right. And but new research shows that could actually be underestimated. We're going to talk today about this plastic. I'm going to share with y'all some information about the plastic industry and how plastic can affect your health. I pulled up this article here that pretty much talks about, it says humans are exposed to a large variety of toxic chemicals and microplastics through inhalation, ingestion, and direct skin contact all along the plastic life cycle. So the direct exposure from the plastic life cycle, we got the whole life cycle of plastic, which is the extraction and transport of plastic, the refining and manufacture of plastic, the consumer use of plastic, and then ultimately the waste management of plastic. I love this illustration here because it breaks it all down for you in one picture, but we're going to dive into it. So the first step is the extraction of plastic. If you're not familiar with the whole process of extracting plastic, I'm here to share it with you for a little bit so you can understand about it. So the first part, how they get plastic, is actually they get it from fossil fuels or crude oil. They extract the oil out the same way they do for petroleum, gas, the gas that we use every day in our cars. Plastic is made from those components that's extracted out of the earth through drilling. All right. And after they drill and extract the oil from the earth using different processes, of course, they drill down in there and they pump gases out in there that creates pressure that they can move the oil up through the drills that they have, or they can use pump action to suck the crude oil out of the earth. Once it's sucked out of the earth, it's put into these tanks and it goes through the refining process. They put the oil into a furnace and they heat it up. High temperatures around 800 degrees Fahrenheit. And what that does is it turns the crude oil into a gas, and then they have these cylinders where the oil is condensed back into a liquid at various temperatures, kind of like a distillation process. Where if you dealt with, of course, I deal with Thoth. Thoth is the god of the three: the plant world, the animal world, and the chemical world, the elemental world. That's why they call them Thoth Trismegistus: plants, animals, elements. All right, and in doing so, they talk about creating different salts and sulfurs and stuff. So I've been through processes where I make different distillations and come up with a distillate, some type of salt form. And through that process, they got different distillation practices and different vessels you can use that distills different types of components at different heights and different temperatures. And it works the same way when they're refining. They basically put it in these cylinders, and then they gradually condense these gases back down into a liquid form. One of the main forms that is they use for plastic is ethylene and propylene, and they do that in the furnace. Now, after they distill it into this liquid, ethylene liquid, propane liquid, and they turn it from a gas into a liquid, then they go through cracking. Cracking is where they basically break the hydrocarbon bonds down into smaller hydrocarbon bonds, and then you get from ethane. Actually, I said ethylene, but from ethane and propane, you get ethylene and propylene. All right, and once they get ethylene and propylene, then they basically take these and they polymerize them by combining these bonds together through some type of chemical process, and then they create long strands of these plastics. And then they can actually cut these strands up, and they pelletize the plastics into little small pellets called nurdles. Okay, and then these nurdles can be transported to other industrial places where they can melt them down and then remold them and things like that. During the process of transporting these pellets fall all out the truck. I mean, it's a lot of ways that they get into the environment, but they fall out. They call them spills, plastic spills, and then the rain and wind comes and washes this stuff into farmlands, and it all eventually ends up in the ocean. So I just wanted to kind of break down basically just a little small process, a little small picture of how oil or the plastic is created, manufactured, and extracted. So once they do that, this plastic is used to make everything from plastic bottles, plastic containers. Um, I mean, you name it. Most of the stuff that people have is made with plastics, nylons. It's in your clothes. It's in everything. And the thing is that this plastic it just once it gets especially into the ocean, it just breaks down and breaks down and breaks down into smaller pieces, eventually end up as nano pieces. And then you can see right here through this illustration that it ultimately ends up in the human being through inhalation, skin contact, and even ingesting. All right. And once again, I like this article here because it breaks down the ways that humans end up getting it into their bodies, and at the different life cycles of plastic, life cycle management or life cycle creation. So during the extraction and transport phase, where it is being inhaled, and all of these chemicals, including benzene and VOCs, up to 170 plus toxic chemicals is released during this process and is inhaled and ingested as it leaks into the air and into the water. And then I also like it because it go ahead and break down the effects that it have on the human being, the effects for doing the process of the extraction and transportation, and getting into the air and the water for the human being. This affects the immune system, sensory organs, liver and kidney. Impacts include cancer, neuroreproductive, and developmental toxicity. Going on to the refining and manufacturing, and other chemicals are released, including the benzenes, the PHAs, or forever chemicals, and the styrene. Of course, then same thing: inhalation, ingestion, even skin contact is bad. And the health impacts of that include cancer, neurotoxicity, reproductive toxicity, low birth weight, and eye and skin irritation. Then these things ultimately make it into the human body via the things we use for food products or toys and tires and the clothes we wear, even the furniture. Look at all that, man. These are the things that's around you right now. You can look around and there's some clothes around you, probably some toys around you, a water bottle probably sitting on the table next to you. Open the refrigerator, all the things in there are probably in a plastic bottle, except for a few things that's in glass. And we're touching these things, and all of these things are ways that we get exposed to plastic contamination. The emissions including heavy metals, POPs, carcinogens, EDCs, and microplastics. Exposure through inhalation, ingestion, and skin contact. The health impacts affects the renal, okay, cardiovascular, gastrointestinal, neurological, reproductive, respiratory system, and impacts include cancer, diabetes, and developmental toxicity. On down to waste management. That means like even after the plastic has been used, a lot of this plastic end up in the trash because people don't recycle it. They say about 80% of the plastic end up in trash. Okay. And then of course, when it comes to recycling, they have different recycling processes where they incinerate it or repelletize it again and then make new materials. But this process still it releases more chemicals, heavy metals, dioxins and furans and forever chemicals, all this, and then this stuff is released once again into the air, and eventually into the water. And the health impacts same thing. Impacts include cancer, neurological damages, and damages to the immune system, reproductive and nervous system, the endocrine system, all of your endocrine glands. I mean, this is just horrible because sometimes you might be feeling a little sick. You go to the doctor, they say nothing wrong with you. It's plastic. I mean, plastic is not the only thing. We got them spraying chemtrails and things like that, which I am going to make a video about geoengineering, of course, but these things are affecting us in all types of ways. The immune system, your neurological health, cancer. I mean, the reproductive health. I mean, just destroying the body. Development, diabetes. I mean, it's just destroying the body. The stuff is in your plastic water bottles. It's a ton in the plastic water bottles, but it's also getting into the food that we eat, in the tissues of the plants and the animals that we consume. Of course, I don't consume animals, but still, it's getting into all of the food that we as humans consume. It's in the air, and when these different plants are processing this stuff and releasing it into the air, this stuff travels a long distance away from those particular plants and end up in the bodies of human beings. We got microplastics and then we got nanoplastics. Okay, and both of those are we are exposed to all of those through the air, the water, and the food chain, and through just touching it, dermatological contact. And the health effects are cardiovascular, renal, gastrointestinal, neurological, reproductive, and respiratory systems. Impacts include cancer, diabetes, reproductive, and development. A lot of this stuff pass on to the children as well, as we're going to see in one of the studies that I'm going to bring up here in a second. Okay, so they're extracting the stuff. 99% of plastic comes from fossil fuels, like I said. And the extraction of the oil and gas, particularly hydraulic fracturing for natural gas, releases an array of toxic substances into the air and water, often insignificant volumes, over 170 fracking chemicals that are used to produce the main feedstock for plastic, which is ethane and propane, have known human health impacts, including cancer, neurological, reproductive, and developmental toxicity, impairment of the immune system, and more. The refining process, transforming fossil fuels into plastic resins and additives, releases carcinogenic and other highly toxic substances into the air. Once again, Scientists don't know what causes cancer. We know that cancer's just really been on the rise in the last 50 years, coinciding with the beginning of the commercial production of plastics at a high volume. Plastics are being the amount of plastic being created is doubling every decade. The plastic business right now is a $600 billion industry and growing. And consumer products and packaging used to plastic products leads to the ingestion or use, just the using of them leads to ingestion or an inhalation of large amounts of plastic, microparticles, and hundreds of toxic substances with known or suspected carcinogenic development and endocrine disrupting impacts. Waste management. All plastic waste technologies include incineration, co-incineration, gasification, and pyrolysis results in the release of toxic metals such as lead and mercury, organic substances, mercury, we know how bad that is, acid gases, and other toxic substances. Plastic in the environment. Once plastic reaches the environment in the form of macro, or microplastic, it contaminates and accumulates in food chains through agricultural soils, terrestrial and aquatic food chains, and the water supply. The environmental plastic can easily leach toxic additives or concentrate toxins already in the environment, making them bioavailable again for direct or indirect human contact, human exposure. As plastic particles degrade, new surface areas are exposed. Okay, I'm just glazing through this. Of course, you can see the website up here if you want to go and get this and take a look at it yourself. Reducing toxic exposure to plastic will require a variety of solutions and options. Mainly, just stop creating the plastic. That's number one. But that's gonna be hard to do. I mean, with so many benefits of the plastic, for the wealthy and all the different things that they can create, it's not going to be an easy thing for them to just stop producing plastic. Okay. So the ways that they try to degrade it is not feasible at all either. Okay. And so we got them pumping out this plastic that can't be broken down. Most of it is sinking to the bottom of the sea, and they say it's just a bed of plastic at the bottom of the ocean, which is horrible. All right. And not only that, if you look at geoengineering or climate change in general, they saying that a part of the reason why climate change is happening is because all the plastic in the water is interfering with the natural dispersion of heat that's coming from the core of the earth. You can go research this too. It's hard to add all that in here because it'll be a long video, but I want to kind of hit on a lot of things and then you can go do your research. But the water was, we know that water has the ability to disperse heat. That's why when you're working out and you're sweating, you start to sweat and the sweat evaporates and take the heat with it. It's similar to the planet. The planet's core overheats, especially when we're getting hit by different solar and cosmic radiations coming down. And actually, they say that when the solar radiation comes down, it's like a filter. It goes through everything except it goes straight past everything, through everything, and it's meant to hit that core. And once it hit that core start heating up, and then the pressure has to be released. And like I said, the ability for the water to disperse that heat has been hindered, but due to all the plastic there, and it can't disperse the heat as it once could. And now the core of the planet is heating up, so you're having more volcano eruptions. When you have more volcano eruptions, you're having more earthquakes. When you're having more earthquakes, you're having more tsunamis, and so on and so on and so on. All right. So this report was made possible through the generous support of the 11th Hour Foundation and all of these people down here, and these people and organizations down here. You can check more. You can read the full report available at www.cil.org. Plastic and health. All right. www.cil.org plastic and health. All right. Coming over here, I was looking at this article here on ncbi.nlm.nih, the National Institute of Health.gov. I come here a lot when I'm trying to discover and learn about different things. I learn a lot of information about here. A lot of times, a lot of stuff that people be talking about, like ozone therapy, for instance. I got a video pulled down from YouTube from talking about ozone, but all of that stuff is on .gov sites and what it can do and what it can, cure and stuff like that. All of that stuff is on the .gov sites. It's not even hidden. You come on here, this particular article talks about nanoplastics and human health hazards. And basically, it says nanoplastics are associated with several risks to the ecology and toxicity to humans. Nanoplastics are synthetic polymers with dimensions ranging from 1 nanometer to 1 micrometer. They are directly released to the environment or secondarily derived from plastic disintegration in the environment. Nanoplastics are widely detected in environmental samples and the food chain. Look at that. It's in the food, man. Therefore, their potentially toxic effects have been widely explored. In the present review, an overview of another two potential sources of nanoplastic exposure routes to illustrate hazard identification and nanoplastic cell internalization and effects on intracellular target organelles are presented. In addition, challenges on the study of nanoplastics and future research areas are summarized. This paper also summarizes some approaches to eliminate or minimize the levels of nanoplastics to ensure environmental safety and improve human health. And I'm bringing this article up because, once again, these are studies that have been done, by scientists in the field. And they're publishing these papers so that people can be aware. This was published in 2022, April 11, 2022. Microplastics were initially reported in 2004, so not even that long ago. This was microplastics. Now, all these articles are about nanoplastics. But why? Because plastic is just breaking down to smaller and smaller and smaller bits. Go ahead and go research and see all of the fish that are dying, and then when the scientists split them open to do a biopsy and see how to what was the cause of death, they opened them up and they got big pieces, macro pieces of plastic, micro pieces of plastic, and then when they look into the smaller structures of the body, they have nanoplastics in them. Plastic objects are commonly available in every aspect of our life, such as food containers, tap water pipes, and the clothing industry. This is why people say, wear the cotton, wear the cotton. A lot of people say, wear the cotton, because these synthetics, you're getting these on your skin, and it's interfering with hormonal production, hormonal and enzymatic function in the body. And this stuff these things are beginning to be discovered as more and more people turn the eye to this plastic, and they start to delve into what's happening to the environment and to human beings with all of this plastic in the environment. I'm just scrolling through this paper and showing some interesting things. The plastic at the once again to the nano scale, it can bypass the blood-brain barrier. We know that we know about what aluminum can do to the brain. What is plastic doing? When it's crossing that blood-brain barrier, it can cross the placental barrier. So now the nanoplastics are being able to be transferred to a developing fetus, to a developing child in the mother's womb. It can permeate the intestinal lining, okay? And then from there, it can enter into the bloodstream, okay? Just dermal exposure, skin contact. It can permeate the skins and the pores in the skin. We're inhaling it. We're ingesting it. We full of plastic, man. These studies, if you read they talk about how nanoparticles of plastic is being discovered inside the human body. Potential adverse effects of nanoplastic on the human body. Nanoplastics invade living organisms, cross biological barriers, and are transferred to their offspring. Nanoplastics present in the living organism are only excreted at very low concentrations, meaning that leading to accumulation. So this means that the plastic is accumulating in the tissues of your body. What is the biological impact of that? How is that affecting our health? We already learned how it's affecting by reading the other article and looking at the illustrations. All right, studies have not fully explored the adverse health effects of nanoplastics in humankind. All right, this is a relatively new thing. The present findings are mainly from nanotoxicology studies using nanopolystyrene and are summarized below. Keep on going. Interactions with biological media, interactions with the cell membrane, cell internalization. Cells internalize microplastic particles or nanoparticles. Okay, keep going. This is the complex science behind how these things get into the cells. Nanoplastics destroy the cell membrane structure, leading to cell death, which is necrosis. Okay, cell death. Severe effects during the process of biological interaction include damage of membrane structure and cell death. Various factors such as type and surface charge play an important role in this process. Okay, look at this. Target organelle toxicity included by nanoplastics. Role of mitochondria in response to nanoplastics. Mitochondria is the major site for cell energy supply and oxidative phosphorylation. Exposure of mitochondria to external stimuli such as nanomaterials affects its normal structure and function, leading to metabolic and functional disorders. Findings from previous studies indicate that internalized nanoparticles, including nanoplastics, are targeted to the mitochondria. So we wondering why, if I just was reading, I'm reading a lot of different material, and I'm reading about chronic fatigue syndrome, okay, CFS, and that's on the rise. Why are so many people having chronic fatigue syndrome all of a sudden? You know, and it's because the environment is polluted now. So the reason behind this video is just to show you why, even if you think you're healthy, you still need to be detoxing. You still need to be, doing something to help detoxify your body from the toxins that we are consuming, that's getting into our body, and we can't control it. I mean, we can't control what's in the air. We don't have an army, to go out and just, tell these companies stop producing plastic. If that was the case, it would have been done, because it's a whole bunch of people who would like it to stop being done. We don't have the, power to tell these government to stop putting chemtrails in the air. So the main part of this video, the main purpose of this video is to make you aware of the plastic that we are getting into our bodies, to make you aware that if you're not feeling good, why don't the doctors know, and what can you do about it? So here, let's see, www.anxiety.org. I'm just pulling it up right here. How to detox plastic from your body. Here are some initial recommendations to kickstart your efforts. Engage in physical activity to induce perspiration. Exercise. We all know for years how good exercise has been for the body. In this case, it's no different. I need some water, actually. Don't have none with me right now. And that's another video I'm going to make too. Can you hand me some water, please? So as I was saying, exercise, engage in physical activity to induce perspiration that's going to help the body your body toxins, consume fresh and organic. Of course, we know that a lot of people think that if you're vegan and vegetarian, you're doing a lot of boosting the fiber consumption. Something that if you're vegan and vegetarian, you're doing a lot of. minimize when you breathe out, you're breathing exposure. Out carbon dioxide. Okay, but that carbon dioxide, some of the toxins in your body is converted to carbon dioxide, and that's why you always breathing it out. you breathe in to get oxygen because your body needs oxygen. Lower your footprint, right? But why do you breathe out? Your plastic producing footprint. You see, there you have. That's just a simple question, but you breathe in to get oxygen. But why is there the need to breathe out? That's because you have to breathe out toxins as well, and your body is going through a lot of chemical processes, a lot of physiological processes, in order to convert different toxins into carbon dioxide, and then we breathe that out through the lungs. So I was able to get that water. So what does this have to do with the main reason I'm saying this is start using herbs. That's the main reason why I'm saying this today. We have to start using herbs, okay? Start using herbs. And how can you get started using the herbs? You can go ahead and check out my video, The Holy 20. The Holy 20, where I talk about the top 20 herbs you can start using today and start incorporating into your lifestyle. Detoxing has to be a part of your lifestyle now. It has to be a part of your everyday regimen if you want to live at your highest level. If you want to be at the top of your game, then you have to now add detoxing to your regimen. Detoxing through oxygen therapy, getting on oxygen and just breathing it in while you read a book, while you take a nap, while you sit on a heating pad, while you take a minute and meditate, get on the oxygen, because your body needs this oxygen to rejuvenate the cells. In fact, a large part of disease is because of deoxygenated blood, which causes deoxygenated cells. Your brain needs oxygen, a lot of it. Low blood serum levels of oxygen gonna slow your whole body down and decrease the function of your mental in your cells. So drinking teas daily, okay? Drinking teas to detox the body. All herbs have multiple aspects of healing. They're not a one-trick pony. Herbs are not one-trick ponies. They don't have one tricks like drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. A lot of pharmaceutical drugs, they got one trick. Hey, take this for that. And then they don't talk about the side effects. They got many tricks if it comes to that. That's that many tricks if it comes to that. But herbs, you can't put them in a box and say, yeah, this herb is for digestion. Well, that's not the only thing it's good for. Most herbs are anti-inflammatory. You know what I'm saying? Most herbs have some type of cleansing of aspect to them. So they have some type of detoxing aspect to them, some type of nutritive aspect to them, some type of rejuvenating aspect to them. All herbs is going to have some type of detoxing, rejuvenating, or nutritive aspect to it. And that's why we start to take the herbs. You don't have to stay on one, take one herb. Another month, take a different herb. Every day, drink your teas. Take your extracts. Just the whole. I'm just an advocate for taking herbs and adding herbs into your daily regimen. I'm an advocate for detoxing the body because it's an onslaught of attacks to the human body right now, man. Through the air, through the water, through the skin, touching stuff is horrible. We used to touch stuff and get germs. Now we touching stuff and getting chemical exposure, toxic plastic exposure just by touching stuff and things, permeating the dermal skin layers, and eventually getting into the bloodstream, getting into the intestinal tract. So that's the main thing today. Plastic overload. Okay, plastic overload. Ditch your plastic water bottles and start making your own water at home. And that's going to be the next video that I make. It's going to be about making your own water at home through distillation. You could buy you a distiller, and I'm going to make a video and I'm going to talk about that, because it's time to stop buying the plastic bottle waters. All right, and I already did the cost analysis of distilling the water versus buying water. I already did it. We're gonna talk about it. You can get you a electric meter to measure how much electricity you are using to distill a gallon of water, and then you can look at your electricity bill and see how much they charging per kilowatt hour, and then you will see how much that bottle of water costs. And it's going to be cheaper distilling a bottle of water at home versus buying some bottled water in the store and then getting the adverse actions of it. Okay, because like I said, the bottled waters, that's the main thing about a lot of these articles. It's the bottled water. Okay, bottled water. You know, inhaling it. But bottled water has been a big key word for plastic exposure, plastic intoxication, plastic pollution in the environment and into the body. So thank y'all for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. I'm working to stay consistent with my videos. I want to keep them coming. I'm feeling motivated. I'm feeling inspired. And if you can like and subscribe, that'll give me motivation. That'll motivate me to keep making content. I'm looking for motivation. I'm giving the information for free, and all I'm asking is for motivation with a like and subscribe. Thank you all for tuning in my channel. Peace and love for you. And don't forget to live life quintessentially.